Ladies and gentlemen, how have you guys been? It's long time we are on Telegram Voice AMA. Before that, we were active on Twitter and we had a lot of AMAs on Twitter Spaces. So, loved interacting you guys. So today we're going to host an AMA session with LitCraft, and you guys can win the reward pool of $100, which is $10 each. Mr. Tom will be speaking to us. He is the CEO. Let's wait for him to join. And until that, I'll be interacting to you guys and I will be speaking to you guys. Okay, so good thing about today's AMA is that we are going to have all live segment questions. There are no five Twitter segment questions which you usually send before. In today's AMA, we're going to unmute 10 people directly and they are going to get $10 reward each. And to be eligible for the rewards, you guys have to follow Twitter of LitCraft and you have to join LitCraft on their Telegram. Besides that, you can visit their website, you can go to their Discord as well. So do you guys want me to explain a bit about LitCraft, what it is and how does it work? I can see a lot of hands raised, but what should we do when we have not started with the AMA? Let me open up the website and I will give a bit introduction to the project until the guest arrives. Actually, it's a sci-fi play-to-earn project. I had just gone through the website and it's a project and you can play with yourself and with other teams as well. Let the website open and I will explain everything to you guys. They say that it's a magical world hidden in a plain view. You can play the game at any time, and their assets are sold 7.5 million. That's a big number, and it's running on DevX blockchain from 4 years, and in 1 second, 8 million transactions are done on DevX transactions. So if I talk about the buying, selling, and trading, Glassblock enables player to buy, sell, and trade items earned within the LitCraft metaverse. And they say their magical universe is an experience. Of course, when the guest arrives, I will talk to him about this experience as well, what it is and how does it work. It's an open-ended magical universe where everyone can play to own by battling competitors, crafting items, crafting lit pets, playing popular games, genres, or starting virtual businesses. So they say play to own. It means that you will play and you will own something. I mean, you can earn and craft your own, and you can view all your items in your DevX blockchain wallet. I think we can say, or we can call those play to own things as
Hi.
NFTs as well. So guest is here. Hi, Mr. Tom. How are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Meet you too. How are you doing?
Everything's good. It's exciting times at Devio and LitCraft right now. We've got a big release coming out in April, and we've got just a lot of good things coming down the pipe in general. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you for joining us today. Actually, I was just going through your website and I was introducing the project to our people as well until you arrived.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get into the project. But before getting into the project, I would like you to introduce yourself. What about your experience and how did you start and from when you are working on LitCraft?
Sure. So, briefly, I'm an experienced entrepreneur. My first business was a robotics business, just as a quick bit of background on myself. In that business, I raised about $34 million. I took the company public. We created the world's first consumer 3D touch device. So it was a robot that added a very realistic sense of touch into computing. So it was really neat technology and a neat company. In that business, we took robots that cost tens of thousands of dollars, got them down to a consumer price point, and the robots added the sense of touch into computing. And in getting it down to a consumer price point, then got into the video game industry. And in the video game industry, which is where I've spent a lot of my career, therefore, we licensed on the order of about $100 million to video game development. We got national distribution on our products. And then to make a long story short, sold our IP to Facebook. So that was my first business. My second business is Devio, which is a blockchain company. And I started it about 7 years ago. Saw enormous opportunity in the blockchain space. To me, blockchain is one of the few technologies we'll see in our lifetime that really fundamentally changes computing on par with the internet. Where the internet was a disruptive platform that lets people transfer data, blockchain is a disruptive platform that lets people transfer value. And so if you look at it at that most basic level, that's where we saw world-changing implications. But the big challenge, though, is there weren't any technologies that really solve all the problems you have to solve to build a real business. Again, I'm an experienced businessman and an experienced entrepreneur. And so there were big challenges in scalability, privacy, fraud, theft, and loss, stability. One of the biggest is cost. Another of the big ones is interoperability. And so given that there was no solution to all those problems, we designed our own blockchain protocol from scratch, came up with our own consensus mechanism. And then with that, we solved the sharding problem. And so sharding is parallelizing the processing of a blockchain. And with our sharding solution, we created a blockchain that can process millions of transactions per second. We're 1/10 millionth the cost of Ethereum. We're 1/3 billionth the energy usage of Bitcoin. So it's a very efficient system. We have a RESTful API, so any of the world's 25 million web developers can instantly integrate with our system. And so it's a really neat technology. And then the last bit of the story, as background is, what we're doing with LitCraft specifically. So about 4 years ago, we created a game to be able to test the high-speed nature of the blockchain. And that game is called LitCraft Experience. The whole sci-fi fantasy universe is called LitCraft. And so, we ran the game for years. We had lots of users that loved it. We have users that have played over 500 hours. So people like the game itself. But when Axie Infinity blew up, 15 months ago, saw a real opportunity to take that game that had really just been a test bed and turn it into an actual product. So we launched it about a year ago, and then been making a lot of progress since then. So that's just kind of a quick background, kind of where we how we've gotten to here.
Cool, happy to know about it. So, what is the relation of DevX with LitCraft, and what is LitCraft actually? I have gone through the website. I got to know about it's a sci-fi project. It's play to own and it's play to earn as well. So how come? Can you please explain a bit about that?
Sure. So I'm the CEO of Devio, and I'm also the creator of LitCraft. And so I've been kind of pushing both projects. And the LitCraft digital financial ecosystem that we're creating really is one of the real beachhead products and projects for Devio. So the Devio blockchain that I was describing that can process millions of transactions per second is very cost effective. That's called DevX. And LitCraft broadly is a sci-fi fantasy universe, but the specific game that we've created is, again, LitCraft Experience, and LitCraft Experience runs on DevX. So the overall concept of LitCraft, well, again, starting out just with the sci-fi fantasy universe, LitCraft itself broadly is a magical world, and we hope that it becomes an IP that's one of the big IPs like Star Wars or Star Trek or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, things like that. So that's the hope with it. It's a very rich and detailed lore. The idea is that there's mages that live among us, hidden under view. There's a gigantic mage city in the center of the planet. Mages have cities on planets under the oceans, things like that. So it's kind of a fun lore. But then the game really is focused on um, ownership and a digital financial ecosystem, like I described. So I would argue that the big winners in the metaverse space broadly are going to be companies that really are focused on financial ecosystems. There's going to be some companies that create some great games and some great applications, but the big winners in the space, and I'm talking about big kind of on the same order of magnitude as Meta, the big winners in the space to me are going to be the companies that really focus on financial ecosystems. So the idea in LitCraft is you could come in, you can play many different games. We've got dozens of different kinds of games that you can play. You can build your own business. You can battle against other people in lit pet battles. So you can really kind of find your area of focus, what you like to do the most, and everything that you do in the game to play, and you earn the items. And then you can sell anything on our glassblock.io marketplace, so you can earn as well.
Okay, thank you. So you have mentioned that we have a lot of games. So what kind of games are those? And I saw that we can play games with ourselves and other players as well. Can you throw some light on it?
Sure. Yeah, so the game originally started with kind of a Minecraft type of gameplay. It was a Minecraft game that I had created even a few years before Devio, just kind of given my game industry background. And so you go down and you dig through the ground, just like one does in Minecraft, except it's a top person point of view instead of a first person point of view. So you dig through the ground, and as you kind of dig out items, you get materials. And so that type of just getting items, finding them as you're kind of mining, and then crafting them into more and more complex things is a really kind of fun type of interaction. And then the game expanded, and we started bringing in many of kind of the biggest genres. So we created a match 3 game that's kind of like Candy Crush Saga. We created like a slide type of game. That's another kind of casual tile based game. We created a merge game that's really pretty robust. We've had players spend a lot of hours, many hundreds of hours each across hundreds of players playing the merge game. So there's a game called Merge Dragons, and there's a game called Evermerge, things like that. So it's a more popular genre these days. And then we're expanding into many more games, just really kind of the classic tried and true genres and games. So we're adding a solitaire game, a Sudoku game. We have a game where you like a platformer game where you kind of run across different platforms. Again, just a lot of the main types of genres that are out there. We've also got a really robust card battling game. And so that became kind of the next evolution after we had built in kind of the initial games. The card battling game you battle in the lore what are called heptones. So it's mage battles or lit pet battles as well. And you put your pieces, your cards or your characters on a board. They move forward on the board, and you try to take over the opponent's tower. And it's a really good strategy game, and it's also a good card collectible game. And so that really leverages the NFT capabilities on the DevX blockchain, and then the Glassblock marketplace. So people right now, you can go to glassblock.io and you can see different lit pets that you can use to battle. And then you can also use the battles to then create businesses. So that was the next iteration of what we started developing. So the original games were like 4 years ago. The pet battling was maybe 3 years ago that we started creating it. The businesses we started implementing about 2 years ago, and then released the game as a product about a year ago. So it's been in production a long time, and these are all really kind of robust, rich types of experiences. And the businesses is a really neat concept. So you can collect items from other players, craft them into more complicated stuff, and collect daily revenue. So it itself is kind of like a sim type of game, but it's a real world sim type of game, because the items that you craft you can then sell to other players. And then we have other kind of bigger games coming up. We have a space shooter game coming out, a building game where you can, like Minecraft, go in and actually build things. You can build your own houses and things like that. And then a first person shooter type of game. And then we've got many more in the pipes as well. So the gameplay is really kind of broad and expansive.
Have you done speaking? I cannot hear you.
Y- Yeah, I finished that. I was just answering that question on what types of gameplay. So I was waiting for the next question.
All right, all right. Thank you for the brief explanation, and you have referred some gameplays to make it easier and clear. So, is the gameplay inspired by any movie, any character, or any book?
So the LitCraft universe itself, outside of the game, is really intended to be a broad kind of media IP, intellectual property. And so we have a book called Grant Began that takes place in the LitCraft sci-fi fantasy universe. We've got a show coming up called Paps and E that I'm excited about, and that takes place in the sci-fi fantasy universe as well, within LitCraft. So it references the lore and the magic. It's got a really pretty robust magic system and background. The whole LitCraft lore is again very rich and detailed. So there's lots of different mage cities, all with kind of their own characteristics. For example, there's an underwater city, actually Atlantis, that are run by a race called Rocks, which are very powerful mage race. There's a kind of detailed mage society, and governance, and then there's lots of different mage professions, mage technologies, and all of these things are tied into the game. And so all the concepts that revolve around how magic has created this kind of robust magical technology are the types of things that you can craft in the experience game. And then one thing that's neat is, given the blockchain interaction and the play to own concepts, all of the interactions between the different games are also integrated. And so for example, you can craft a spaceship and then use that in a separate, space shooter game, or you can craft weapons or technology that you can use in the first person shooter, game. And so all of it, is very interlinked, in terms of the lore. I think, from kind of a crypto and blockchain perspective, though, the most important thing is the way it's all interlinked from a financial ecosystem point of view. And so the idea is just like in real life, where, in real life, if you're creating a bakery, right, and you want to start that business, because you love baking, and it's really a passion for you, you don't go out and create your own field to grow your wheat, right? You just buy a bag of flour, to create your products. You don't, as you actually create a business, you don't build your own building. You go and you buy or rent a building that you host your bakery in. You don't become a legal expert and pass the bar. You hire a lawyer to handle your legal needs. You hire an accountant to handle your accounting needs, right? And so just like in real life, LitCraft is built around this idea of, a level of complexity that becomes too much to do just yourself, and you focus on the things that you want to focus on, whatever it is. Playing specific games, playing player versus player, building your own business, whatever it is that you enjoy, you can focus on it. And then you can use other people's efforts, again, just like in real life, to complement what you're doing. So if you build a business, for example, businesses level up, which is kind of a neat concept, and they use legal points and accounting points and, things like that. And so you can use the legal points from somebody else, and you just buy those on the Glassblock marketplace. So the overall kind of richness and depth of the lore mixed with the richness and depth of the financial ecosystem overall, I think sets us apart from anything else in the blockchain and crypto space. The games are really fun to play, but the financial ecosystem is very rich and deep. And then you'll be able to ultimately take all the things that you earn and sell them to others because you have that financial flow.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I would like to know about the experience, LitCraft experience, and some of the NFTs as well. Could you please share a bit about that?
Sure. So the DevX blockchain, is able to handle Again, millions of transactions per second. It's very inexpensive, 10 millionth the cost of Ethereum. It's very energy efficient, 1/3 billionth the energy usage of Bitcoin. So a lot of the kind of technical challenges that have, kind of existed around NFTs, we've got a great solution for. The other thing that Devio does, and again, LitCraft's ecosystem, financial ecosystem is built on Devio's technology. So the other thing that Devio has done is we've built the other infrastructure that leverages kind of the way we're all used to working online. A lot of people in the crypto space have kind of figured out MetaMask and how to get just how to work in the crypto space. But it's kind of it can be difficult, and so most of the world is just used to interacting in Web2 technologies, right? Instead of using MetaMask, they use PayPal. Instead of trying to figure out how to link MetaMask into an application, you just download a game and you play it, or you make payments with PayPal just by clicking a button. Or if you want to buy and sell things, you just buy it on a regular store, like a Shopify type of store. So Devio really has kind of bridged that Web3 and Web2 kind of experience. And so we have a bunch of Web2 looking applications that are really Web3 apps. So glassblock.io, you can just select an item, go to a cart, check out with a credit card, or you could check out with DevPay, which is neat. So you can pay with on-chain assets, or you could pay with crypto, Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, and then go through a regular process like you would on any Shopify store or even Amazon or whatever. Finish, hit make payment, and within less than a second, then you have the items in your inventory, and you can see them on the DevX wallet on glassblock.io. And then you can go into the game, and you can see those assets in your inventory, and it all happens instantly. So you had asked about how we do our NFTs. I wanted to just give a little bit of background about the technology underlying it, because it's a really nice to use, easy experience. Like I showed, not a lot of non-crypto people our technology, and they go like, yeah, what's the big deal? It looks like a regular store. But that's the point. It's a Web3 application that looks like a regular store, So then delving a little deeper, so the specific NFTs are really kind of fun in the LitCraft Experience universe. So we have Lit Pets and Land are the main two types of NFTs. A lot of the stuff we're planning to do with the Land, is coming up, but in the short term, you can use Land, to create the more powerful businesses, the higher level businesses. Lit Pets, though, they're really kind of broadly used right now, and so when you get a Lit Pet. We had a Genesis set of Lit Pets that some initial people purchased. So the Genesis Lit Pets have particularly strong characteristics, and then each Lit Pet has a magical ability. It has its kind of locus, meaning its point of focus in the heptagon, which is the magical kind of symbol within the Lit universe. And then they have other characteristics for battling. And so you can get into the heptone battles, and you can battle with Lit Pets. And it's really been neat watching our community work through and learn the strategy of the heptone battles. So the NFTs are really kind of compelling in there. They're similar, I think, to, again, the analogy with Axie Infinity. They're similar to Axies in the battling respect, but the game is a lot more robust and I think fun to play. And then Lit Pets also have characteristics, wisdom, strength, intelligence, charisma, loyalty. There's like 15, 16 different characteristics. And those characteristics affect how Lit Pets then are also used in businesses. So, again, there's a very kind of robust financial ecosystem with a lot of flow between different people. Lit Pets are the employee, so to speak, of those businesses. So the NFTs, are collectible. They're fun. They've got great graphics, and then they're usable in the battling, and they're usable in businesses too. And then we're going to do a lot more with them over time.
Yeah, that's cool. Happy to know about that. So, you have talked about the NFTs and some payments, and you have spoken about the DevX wallet as well. So, is there any native token you guys have, from which we can purchase some NFTs, or we can use the wallet, or we can use any other payment method? And what are the payment methods? I mean, if there is any token, could you please refer to us about that. And if there is not, kindly tell us what are the payment systems.
Sure. So, in terms of tokens, so we have our Devi token for the DevX blockchain, and then we have our Quint token, which we're going to rename because there's another token out there named Quint. And so I have to be careful on a public forum, exactly what I can say about tokens. But I will say that I'm about to put out just kind of a report on the utility of the tokens, and I'll post that on our Devio announcements channel. So for folks that are interested, that'll be coming out pretty soon, and you can see more about the tokens there. In terms of payments and what we do, we can take any type of coin on the DevX blockchain and use that as a payment method in Glassblock. So if let's say somebody else wants to build a game on the DevX blockchain, and they have their own coins that are the game's currency. In our case, they're called heptals. Axie Infinity uses SLP, right? So whatever currency your game uses, you can use that as a payment method for your items in your game on Glassblock, which is a pretty neat concept. But then you also have just regular credit card payments, and then you can buy with other cryptocurrencies. We support, I think, 8 or 9 different cryptocurrencies. So it really is a pretty easy to use system. And again, after you buy something, you get it immediately in your wallet. So it's neat tech.
Mm-hmm, cool. So, what about the tokenomics and economy system of LitCraft?
So I think one of the biggest challenges for blockchain games in general is figuring out a scalable system that works not just when the economy is growing and more users are coming in, but that works long term through cycles. And that's I would say my biggest personal criticism of the majority of what's out there kind of in the blockchain gaming space is it's not really designed in a way that can stand the test of time. So most blockchain games, starting with Axie Infinity and others that kind of followed suit, really had kind of a very simple model of balancing issuances versus sinks, right? So in Axie Infinity's case, you battle and you get SLP, and then you can use SLP to craft Axies. And then you battle with the Axies, right? So it's very simple, just kind of in and out. And that works and did work, while it was growing. But that kind of simple mentality doesn't really work, again, when you're developing a much longer time frame, design. And it doesn't work when you're going through the natural cycles that happen in any kind of financial economy. And so what we designed really was a financial economy that has flow. And I was kind of alluding to it earlier, but you can kind of tell that, given that many different people have many different specialties, and many of those items that you create from the specialties are applicable to many other people, then you end up with a situation, again, that's like the real world, right? So, most of us are working at a job that, creates something, right? We get paid, by our employer, and then you take that money and then you go to a restaurant, for example, and the restaurant, has its workers that serve you your food, you pay for the food. And then those workers get money, and then they maybe come and buy your product, right? Just as kind of a little simple circle. But then the restaurant also bought, the ingredients from a company that also has employees, and then the ingredients were shipped, to the restaurant, using equipment and employees, and you have to build the equipment, which requires employees and materials, and you have to buy the materials from a company that has employees, right? And so it's this very rich, complex ecosystem of many different people all interacting. So that's what we've built, in the LitCraft ecosystem. And it's kind of fun how some of it, has started, where, there's like initial kind of analogy types of coins. So for example, if you're building a business, and you start leveling up your business, you start to need the things that you need in real life with a business, more advanced accounting and legal advice and marketing, things like that. So accounting points come from, in our analogy, playing Sudoku. And if you've ever played Sudoku, it's a grid, and you have to get all the numbers lined up exactly, and they all add up in every quadrant, and they add up right and left, and they add up right and down. And it's a very accounting type of interaction. So you play Sudoku, you get accounting points, and then you take those accounting points and you can sell them on Glassblock, and then another person who's building a business can then build the business, start leveling it up, and then buy those accounting points and use them in their business for their daily revenue generation. And so we've got some points that are kind of built through analogy, but then there's other points that are starting to become more and more real. And that's what I think will happen in the digital economy as well, the digital financial ecosystem, is that more and more real world assets start to come into the play and into the fold. So for example, just like any real world business, when you create an experience business, you have to have marketing. And so you use marketing points, and marketing points in the LitCraft lore are called opsonaut. In order to get opsonaut, you have to go out and do real world marketing over the ecosystem and over the game. So you could retweet tweets or bring in new players, and you do that through our community application called Lit Legion. So it's a really fun place where you could do real world tasks and get real world upside or assets that fit into this ecosystem. So you get your marketing points in Lit Legion, and then those marketing points act as marketing points in kind of the simulated business. And I think over time, again, we're going to bring more and more real world things. So I'd like to see in the future where accounting points are created by real world accountants, and then we also are going to bring in ESG types of assets and tokens. ESG refers to environmental, social, and governance. So the E in ESG is environmental. So we'll bring in things like plastics tokens, or carbon offsets or things like that. And we'll have real world representations of those where plastic is literally being removed out of the ocean to create those tokens that then take part in the financial ecosystem, and you use them to craft something more. And in the end result is you'll know that you're actually making a positive impact on the world just by playing and interacting in our game and our financial ecosystem. So the depth of the overall financial ecosystem and how it works really is the key to the success. And I would argue this is the single most important thing that really sets us apart from everybody else, is the richness and depth of the ecosystem, along with the tools that you need to implement kind of a rich and deep ecosystem like that.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you have talked about economy and the tokenomics. So, I would like to remind our people that to get unmuted to ask questions or speak directly to the team, it's necessary for you all to follow the rules. The rules include you have to follow the project on their Twitter as well, LitCraft on their Twitter, and you have to join their Telegram group as well. If you haven't followed these rules, sorry, you are ruled out. I cannot unmute you guys. So, before moving towards the live segment, people, let's give some time to people. They can follow the rules, and until then, let's talk about the roadmap. What's going on currently, and what are the achievements you would like to share with our people?
Great. That's a great question. It's good to describe it. So again, the overall DevX blockchain has been in development for about 7 years. Very high speed, very cost effective. The ability to tie in with a RESTful API is huge for us. We can create any number of independent blockchains called shards, and every shard you can build applications on it with a traditional, web team. So there's 200,000 Solidity developers out there that develop on Ethereum, for example. There's 25 million web developers, and especially when you start looking into big enterprise applications, to be able to interact with their traditional web teams, is a big deal. So we've built a lot of the technology to start expanding into many other applications. On the LitCraft side of things, we've launched the game on Earth Day, again, given some of our ESG overlap and environmental overlap and focus last year, which was April 22nd of 2022. We're doing another big upgrade that really puts the foundation for this new kind of version 2 financial ecosystem that I've been describing. And that's coming out on Earth Day this year, so April 22nd of 2023. So we're about 2 months away from that. And that's going to really open up where all the new financial ecosystem stuff, like the scalable businesses and the way all the different pieces fit together. A lot of the basics of that are in there now, but it really is kind of a next gen ecosystem. So that's pretty exciting. We've got another dozen games coming out that we'll be launching soon. We've got the Lit Legion application that's coming out. That's huge for us. That's one of our biggest efforts. And that's really bringing the community together in a way where we kind of organize everybody's efforts in order to grow. But it also is just a fun place to interact and hang out. And you can come in and just play and earn from playing, even games outside our ecosystem. We'll put that in. But then you could do tasks. So it's kind of like a real world MMO is the way to think of it. You have branches of different tasks you can do, and once you complete a task, it opens up another task or multiple tasks, and you do those tasks, and then you get assets that you could sell on Glassblock, like the marketing points, for example, or you can earn badges, and so it's just a fun place for everybody to interact in our community. We've also got the player versus player first version of the Heptone battles coming out. So up until now, it's been PvE, player versus environment, and our community spent a lot of time kind of enhancing their strategies there. But the PvP, I think, is going to be huge, and we've got another kind of broad PvP category. So a lot of this is coming out in this kind of 2-month time frame. And then we've got a couple new games coming out: the space shooter and the first person shooter, and then the building game where you can build your own houses and stuff. So all of that's coming out shortly. So it's been a year's worth of work where all these parallel pieces have been coming together and about to come out into this big new area. And then we're also looking to do iOS and Android deployments as well. That's huge for us also. So I mean, it's really one of the most exciting times since I started the company. Like, all of these pieces that have been coming together for a long time are all coming together and coming out right now. So it's really, really neat how everything is coming together.
Hey, thank you. Is there anything you would like to share which I missed to ask?
It cut out for just one sec. Could you ask that question again?
Is there anything you have explained everything very well, and I appreciate that. But is there anything you would like to share with our people, or anything which I missed to ask and you like to share?
Yeah, one other thing that I think is really neat about our whole overall project and our company is our community. Our community is one of the most important things to me personally. I interact with the community almost daily, and so for 5 years, really, it's been one gigantic AMA. Any question anyone's had, I've been there to answer. So I would just suggest people go over and join both the Devio and LitCraft Telegram groups and just start interacting with our community. And it's a great community. If you download LitCraft at litcraft.com, LITCRAFT, you can download and play. There's no upfront costs for playing. You can jump in and start playing right away. And you can ask our community, questions about it. And it's fun just kind of seeing everybody's kind of interactions back and forth and everything. So that's one thing I would point out is go ahead and join our community and kind of see what a great group it is.
So much, and I recommend our people to join their group on Twitter and their Telegram as well. They are on Discord also. You can visit that link. Um, if you want to get unmuted and you want to win some exciting reward and you want to interact directly with Mr. Tom, he is the CEO. You guys have to follow the rules. Um, let's move towards the live segment. Um, Raise your hands. I can wait for 5 seconds and I'll unmute people. Okay, so I'm picking East Coast.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for listening
Yeah,
today. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, ma'am. So my question firstly, about your game, are you planning to create a P2P mode where players can play against each other with maybe different blockchain? I think that would be great.
I'm not planning right now where people could play against different blockchains, but we definitely have player versus player modes. So we have right now the Heptone battles where and all the technology is working. I was testing a near final release just a few days ago, where people can battle in that card strategy game. So that's going to be our kind of premier player versus player game that ties in with NFTs. But then we also have all of the casual games. We're going to have a player versus player kind of component as well. So, for example, if you like solitaire, you can play solitaire in PvP against another player. And what it ends up being is you both get dealt the same deck, and you go through and you try to complete close out the solitaire round as quick as you can. And whoever gets the most points, which usually is whoever finishes faster, or if neither of you finish, sometimes solitaire hands aren't solvable. So whoever gets further faster wins, and both people can put heptals up, and then the winner takes the majority of the heptals. And so that PvP I think is going to be really fun as well, and we can put that type of interaction across a lot of other games, including more casual types of games. And then we're also going to be linking into higher end kind of first person shooter, like AAA level first person shooter, is part of our plan as well, where we put rewards for playing and interacting with others in our ecosystem. So PvP is a big part of where we're headed. Thanks for that question.
Okay, Sam. Yeah, thanks so much, man. That was a really great answer, man. Well, I wish you good luck to the project, man. And also, thanks so much for the great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Now I'm going to unmute Levi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my question is I understand LitCraft is a gaming platform that incorporates crypto market fluctuation into the gameplay. Since the market is very volatile these days, are there any risks involved and how can gamers overcome them? Do you provide any gameplay demo for their better understanding?
Yeah, so I think there's always unknowns in how an economy can grow and expand. So I think part of what's nice about the LitCraft financial ecosystem is you can come in and play and have fun, and the game it's not just a grind where you just grind and you're just playing to earn and you sell, right? It's more meant to be an overall economy that can grow and expand. So I think I don't see a lot of risk myself that that the economy internal to LitCraft is going to be able to grow and expand, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to be a great experience. I gave an overall presentation not very long ago that gives a summary of the whole digital financial ecosystem. And so there's unknowns in how large and how quick there will be fiat off ramps in the game, but I'm optimistic about that myself. And so if people get a chance, it's about an hour long presentation, so it's a little long, but it really does. It's kind of like our equivalent of a white paper, right? It really does show the foundation of what it is to earn in the economy, and the whole philosophy. And there's a slide in the presentation that has probably 15 different boxes that are all different ways to earn, and there's another slide that gives all of the various types of fiat off ramps. I think one thing I'll explain as well that I think is important is the overall philosophy. I think is a very solid foundation. The idea. So again, my background is in the video game industry, and I've got a lot of experience in video games, both in business and just playing and interacting with them as well. And having been in the video game industry as long as I have, one sees many different ways to monetize games, and it's changed over time. So, early on, you like Myst in the mid 90s even, you just buy a game, and you put it in your CD-ROM drive. In the early 2000s, there was MMOs, massively multiplayer online games. In the late 2000s, there was kind of the beginnings of app stores, and you could have free-to-play games that have advertising or power-ups like Candy Crush Saga or things like that. So over time, there's been these different types of monetization strategies for games, and in our overall ecosystem, we use that. Whether it's advertising or power-ups or skins or subscriptions or whatever, those are all tried and true ways to make money in the video game industry. The difference between us and everything that's happened in the traditional video game space up until now is our players are the one that craft those items and sell them. So if you're playing a match 3 game and you want to buy a power-up like a bomb that explodes some of the tiles, in order to get that bomb, you get that bomb from another player who crafted it. And so that's kind of overall how the monetization of it works. And again, it's a proven system. The idea of games making money the way games have been proven to make money, but then letting the users be the ones that sell the monetization. That's a really powerful concept. So that's really what the overall LitCraft financial ecosystem is.
Yeah, I got it.
Great, thank you. Thanks for your question.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to unmute John Kende.
Hello, Anderson.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Quite an awesome project you have going on. I
Thank
must
you.
say this isn't the first time I have been a part of a P2E game. It's good to know that this is actually a P2N, but it's actually gotten from the foundation of a P2E. So I'm just gonna give you a bit of a random observation I've had about P2E games. First and foremost, I know that the purpose of video games is to entertain. And do you agree?
Definitely. I think
So so I understand that a play to earn, a play to own game today feel more like a job. And with the worst type of situations, what's more worrying is that games built around a token or NFT based system are kind of intentionally open to controllable external market forces. And if you check, these tend to increase token value. So to the point that most uninterested investors pile in early. So they then leave a part of inflationary destruction in their wake. Most play to earn games suddenly turn into play to, should I call it pay to play, which is the worst kind of consequence. So with all this observation, if you're unable to pay, you borrow money from other players, and you are forced to help them create their own empire before you can even begin to enjoy the game. So my question is, how do you deal with this external control market system? And how do you reconcile this issue, if you understand what I've been saying so far? Because I see that you are bringing something different to the table, and I'm kind of impressed with what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that's a great question. I mean, that's the heart of issues that the entire blockchain gaming space is going to need to deal with, right? So you mentioned a number of concepts. So I'll just kind of go through go through them. So to start, games are intended to be fun, and that's been a foundation from the beginning for us. And that's a big part missing in a lot of blockchain games. And the idea that when it becomes a play to earn game, then it becomes a job. I think of it differently in our philosophy. I think like there's a lot of evenings where like I'll just be on my phone playing a casual game, and kind of get sleepy and fall to sleep, while I'm playing it. And the idea in general that you could be having fun or having that type of relaxing interaction, but then earning items at the same time, that to me is really compelling. And so to me, I don't like as much the term play to earn. I do think it's important to have earning aspects in a blockchain-based game, but I think it's more important that you play to own. And so that ties in with what you were saying, and with respect to games being fun. And I think that's where the entire video game industry, the traditional video game industry, is kind of missing the point of what blockchain games represent. And it's a lot of what you described, where games become a job, they become manipulated, there's external markets driving things, and it kind of removes the game fun part out of it. And that's why I think, the traditional video game industry has been negative about blockchain games. But the thing I think they're missing is the idea that when you play and you own the assets that you create, that to me, that's the future of the entire video game industry. The idea that like you spend 6 months in a AAA racing game, you build this sweet car, and then you don't own it, versus a AAA racing game that you spend 6 months and you get this sweet car and then you own it outside of the game's context. People are never going to go back to the old way. That's going to become table stakes. And the idea that you have the items in your game, and then you can log into your wallet and you can see them and you can transfer them. Again, if when I say it's going to become table stakes, again, people are going to get used to that. I'm sure of that in the video game space. Like, that's going to be a big category of what comes up in the entire video game industry. And once people are used to it, again, everyone's going to have to do it in order to compete. So I think blockchain gaming represents an enormous transition in the entire video game industry. And I think some of the places people have focused have gotten a bad rap, in the beginning, but that play to own concept is huge. Okay, so now that said, I also think when you own the assets, that does create opportunities to earn and to have assets that have value, to find collectibles, and in our case, take part in a broader financial ecosystem that includes building a business. Like, I would love, for example, for people who play our game to actually learn entrepreneurship. I'm taking all the things that I know about entrepreneurship and the things that you have to do, and I'm making those concepts in actually building the virtual businesses in Experience. And when you start to create those types of concepts, and you start to bring in real world assets like ESG assets, or you start to bring in real world efforts like marketing that turns into marketing points, the more we bring in real world aspects, the more the kind of lines between the digital and the real world get blurred, and you end up with, again, just a robust, growing financial ecosystem. And so a lot of games that have been, first in, does well, the greater fool's theory, right? Only the last people in, get screwed. The earliest people do well. That's not how we've designed things. We've designed things to be an ecosystem where everybody can find their niche, find their role, interact with everybody else in the financial ecosystem, and then continue bringing in more and more value and more assets into the overall financial ecosystem. So it's a great question, and that's some of our philosophies kind of around those concepts.
Hey, John, I hope you are happy with the answer and you are satisfied. Now I'm going to unmute Jens.
Okay.
Hello, am I
Okay, thank you,
audible?
John.
Hello, am I audible?
Hi, I can hear you. Nice to meet you.
How are you doing? Hello. My question is, I want to ask the feature you consider most valuable to bring out the compassion and fire of the game to the audience. Do you get my question?
Could you say it one more time?
I said, could you please tell us what feature do you consider most valuable to bring out the compassion and vibe of the game to the audience?
What do I consider most important to do what again?
What you consider most valuable to bring out the compassion and vibe of the game to the audience? Talking about
Oh,
the
okay.
P2E.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for people that are interested in playing the game to understand is the ability to focus on what you enjoy most. So the idea that you can play whatever game you want to play and then own the assets that you get from playing the game, or the idea that you can build your own business, or you can battle against others in PvP. Whatever it is that you like, you can focus on and then earn, and then know that there's this robust financial ecosystem of many other people doing the same, who are going to then want to buy what you're creating and generating through your efforts, and then vice versa. The things that you don't want to do, you can get from somebody else. So I think that's again the thing that sets us apart from everything else that I've seen in the blockchain gaming space.
Wow, thank you for your answer. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so let's move towards the next one. I'm going to unmute Hulk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Okay, my question is, what are the latest development in your project?
Could you repeat it? It's a little bit fuzzy.
Okay, I repeat my question. What are the latest development in your project?
So you asked about the latest development in our project?
I
Um, yeah, so the biggest thing coming up is our April 22nd Earth Day, so in 2 months release. And so we've got about a dozen new games coming out. We've got our Lit Legion application coming out, the player versus player for the Heptone battles, the Lit Pet battling that you can do using the card collectibles. We've got a space shooter coming out, a first-person shooter, a building game, and then we've got all of the pieces in the businesses and a lot, thousands more. I mean, overall, we've got over 1,000 items and thousands of recipes where you can combine items into more and more complex things. And so all of the new recipes and all of the new business system that ties it all together. All of that's coming out, and so it's really a pretty exciting release. I think we'll look back at kind of this moment in time and say, a year ago was when we kind of first put the game out, proved out the concepts, showed how the technology works, got our glass block marketplace up and running, things like that. But this year's release on Earth Day is really going to be the foundation that springs us forward to everything that we're hoping to do in the future. I mean, it's a big vision. I think it's on par with what even Meta is doing. I see this as becoming an enormous financial ecosystem that encompasses not just gaming assets, but overall digital financial ecosystem assets, including real world assets. And so this upcoming launch is the beginnings of this kind of really much bigger vision. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope you are happy with the answer. But very common questions are not appreciable. You all are requested to bring up with some unique kind of questions which are never asked and are more related to the project. Just ask after reading and going through the website thoroughly. Now I'm going to unmute Eva.
Hello, sir.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I want to ask, what steps is Niceperians taking to ensure a fair and inclusive playing field for all participants in its open-ended magical universe, particularly in regards to access to resources and opportunities for advancement through gameplay and virtual entrepreneurship? Thank you.
So I think the question was what types of experiences are available for advancing. So I think, what you can do is go in and start playing the game, and you can follow a task system. So really the best way to get started in Experience, in the LitCraft Experience game, is to just follow the tasks. So the tasks are like a really big tutorial. You almost could think of it. So you're given task by task. Each task that you complete opens up a new task, and it kind of takes you through all the steps, especially in the beginning. It takes you through all of the steps on how to play the game. And so after you finish kind of the first 20 tasks, then you'll have a pretty good feel of the game, and then you'll have been shown many of the different ways that you can play. And then I think you just take what you enjoy the most and start delving in. And one of the things that people have told us is they're surprised at how deep the game is. Once you start really digging into any of the games, they have an enormous amount of depth and complexity and skill and expertise on them individually. Like we have one simple game where you build a tool that you use to increase your mining capability. And it's just a simple game where you have a grid, like a 5x5 grid of pickaxes, and you slide on them, and you slide up and down and right and left, and then any pickaxe that's next to another one, when you slide, combines with the one next to it, and goes one level higher. So you combine ones into twos, twos to threes, and so on up to level 12. And a lot of people can get to level 9, but level 10 starts to get pretty hard. Level 11 is really hard, and level 12 you have to really be an expert. And then we're in this upcoming release, we're going to put out level 13 and level 14 because people got so far into it. Actually, that's one thing, is as deep as the games have been, I've been surprised how quick people who have developed the right expertise have kind of gotten into the game. So there's people that just play that one simple game, just that one pickaxe game, and get up to level 12, and you can play for 50 hours trying to really become an expert at it and get to the point where you could finally craft a level 12, and then you could tackle level 13, and then even level 14. And so the idea of starting out with the task system and then getting into being shown all of the different things, then focusing on what you want to focus on, that's a big part of what's fun. And then the other thing is the crypto space has a lot of people that are good at kind of hacking and working through and figuring out how things work. And the whole overall ecosystem, I think, is going to be like that. So you could, the place that you can focus on can be earning, right? It can be, let's find out the places where there's value to be had, and let's find the places where you can find needs that other people have, find the best way to get those, and then sell those items. And so I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy just the overall ecosystem kind of interactions as well. Thanks for your question. I think I've got time for one more.
Actually, the answer is actually what I want. So, yeah, no more questions from me. But sorry for my accent, which may have confused you. But thank you, Tom, for answering my question.
Yeah, no, it's good. Your English is much better than I speak any other language. So, thank you.
Cool. I hope Eva is happy, and I thought there might be some lady behind Eva. So let's not get disappointed and wait for some lady. Okay, now I'm going to unmute Lord Shadort.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. My question is, gaming sometimes could be boring when you're an active, loyal member. So I wanted to ask, would there be more partnership at the long run to build the activities in the gaming system and in the project at all?
Could you repeat the question once more?
Okay, let me take it slow. I'm saying gaming could be very boring at some point when you're so active in it. So on the long run, do you plan to have more partnership that could bring more ideas into the gaming system?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, games in general can always get stale if you they can become boring if you play too much, or if you've played them out. But one of the things that I think is really compelling about our overall approach is that we're constantly expanding many more games. Partnerships, as you described in your question, is definitely an area that we're going to expand on. We're also, creating many more games and interactions ourselves. So in our upcoming, release in a couple months on the Earth Day, April 22nd release, as I described, we've got another dozen games coming out then. And so there's going to be a lot of content there. The new first-person shooter game and the building game, there's a lot of innate content just in that. You can spend a lot of time just building your own houses, for example. I mean, that's a lot of fun. And then the first person shooter, I think, is going to even start to get a little bit more of a role playing game, type of interaction. And then Lit Legion that we're putting out our community site, that's constantly getting new content and material and new tasks that people can take part in interacting with the community and doing other work and effort, for us. On the other hand, even just having fun, just playing, playing different games and earning badges and things like that. So we've got a constant flow of many new types of games, a lot of new content that will really keep it entertaining and interesting over time. And everything that we bring in plugs into this overall financial ecosystem where it all kind of interacts together financially as well. So I think it is really going to be a good solution to that problem and that question that you posed.
Thank you very much. And one other thing, I wanted to say your website is superb.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a great question.
Much for answering his question, and thank you so much for asking such a great question. So, is there enough time so we can pick one more?
Sure. I'll do one more.
Sure. Okay, now I'm going to unmute North.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you.
All right.
Hi.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, I've actually been following LitPet for some time now, and then I noticed on your site you talked about a player owning only 7 LitPets. So I want to know, is it like a limitation? Are you trying to limit the number of LitPets per individual can hold? And also about the creating of weapon and other tools within the game. So how do we create that? Do we use any fee, and how long would it take to create a particular weapon?
Yeah, so there's no limits on lit pets. So we had our initial Genesis sales, and so those are kind of more collectible lit pets. But one of the things that's really neat about the lit pets in general is they're applicable in many different ways. So you can use them to battle in the Heptone game, which is similar to what a lot of blockchain games have done. But each lit pet also has its own characteristics that apply to businesses. So any given lit pet, can be applicable, to many other people if you wanted to sell it, for example. And so there's no limit to the number of lit pets that you can own, and there's no cost, like direct, fiat cost to be able to craft a lit pet. You can jump in and just play to the point where you can craft your own lit pet. And so anybody that wants to jump in and play and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, getting started, LitCraft and Experience is a great game for it. So the way lit pets are crafted is they're a smart contract on chain. And so they're the proof of how they're crafted, is held on chain. And what you do is you get the different assets that you need to craft it. So to start, what you have to do is you have to create base pets. And to create a base pet, what you have to do is you have to dig out the ground until you find a pet egg. And then you have to play a game where you combine magic tokens to get a higher level magic. And upcoming, it's going to need white level magic is the only way to create it. Right now, you can do it with lesser, but you're going to need white level magic shortly. So you craft white level magic. You combine that with a pet egg that you dug up in the digging part of the game, and then you get a base pet. And there's, I think, like 250 or so base pets. So there's a whole, and each base pet has its own genome, its own genes, right? And so, and you combine, and then what you do is you dig further, and then you dig out more materials. You can dig out lit pet shards. 7 lit pet shards creates a lit pet token, and then you can play a food game to get food. So you need food for crafting lit pets as well, and then you have to craft other items that make your base pets more powerful before they can create a lit pet. So you can craft ultimately a house and then clothes for it. So you craft all those pieces, get your base pets up to the level where they can craft a lit pet. Then you combine the base pet with food, and then with the lit pet token, and then hit go, craft it, and then you craft a lit pet. And we have people in our community that have literally crafted hundreds and hundreds of lit pets. And you can. The other thing though is if you don't want to go through all of the work to craft a lit pet, some people like that. A lot of people like it. A lot of people like, it's fun, going through just tasks to, just each step, get the pieces you need. And then in the end, you get a lit pet, that you can battle with or sell on the Glassblock marketplace. I mean, it's just a kind of a fun interaction. But, some people might rather just play the Heptone game. And in that case, what you can do is just get on the Glassblock, and there's inexpensive lit pets that are ones that are crafted, all the way up to lit pets that are hundreds of dollars that are the Genesis lit pets that are more collectible and have that kind of really rare, initial creation. So the lit pet system in general is a pretty fun and compelling type of thing. So, download litcraft.com and check it out. Work your way through till you could craft your own.
Yeah. I totally love everything. I love it. It's really, really nice and great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Thank you,
following us
actually.
as well. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Tom, is there anything you would like to share? Or I also have a question. Should I ask?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, what's the most favorite thing about your project? I mean, what do you like the most in your project?
So I think the thing I like most is kind of innate in my personality is I like creating things. And the idea that, we're creating this overall financial ecosystem where many other people can then jump in and create their things, and then play with each other and interact, and the level of interaction people will have, and then the way it can grow into a bigger financial ecosystem with fiat off ramps. It's just fun for me personally, just creating something that I think is going to be as big as what I think this is going to be. So it really kind of scratches that itch for me that just creating something of value in the world. And then if you go one step beyond it too, the technology and how it interacts, what we're using the technology for, even beyond the digital financial ecosystem, and how we're solving environmental problems on the ESG side of our business, how we can ultimately let the big vision, what I ultimately want to accomplish, and the reason I'm doing this is I want to create an overall platform where people can really control their own financial value. I want to see a situation where everybody in the world has the resources they need to fulfill their potential. And so, and that ties in with what I think blockchain as a technology really can do. So when you look at the big vision of what we're doing, it really is a big vision. I think we're going to make a lot of money off of the business side of it. But to me, the important part is using that money to improve the world and creating a situation where everybody controls their value and has the resources to fulfill their potential, like I say. So that's really what drives me, those bigger visions of what we hope to accomplish. That was a nice question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And is there anything, any advice or any request or anything you would like to share with the people? And what's your long-term goal?
I think the main thing to kind of close things out, is just try the game, jump in litcraft.com, download it, and then jump into our Telegram group and start asking about it. I think especially at this point, getting in early with the type of growth that I hope and personally expect, I think now is a great time to get involved, and then I think people will really like the community as well. So yeah, just try it out and come join our community and get more involved. I'd love to meet a lot of folks from the CryptoBirds community, and thank you also for having me today. Community is really important to everything that I'm doing at Devio and at LitCraft. It's an important part of what I spend a lot of my time on, and so interacting with communities I always really enjoy. So would love to see some of you all join our community.
Thank you so much for speaking to us and sharing such a great information in a very brief way, not making it too long and making it very clear and very brief. And I would like to request our people to join this project, LitCraft, on their Twitter and on their Telegram as well. If you are on Discord, don't forget to follow them on Discord as well. So they are continuously sharing news and they are bringing up new ideas on daily basis. Don't forget to interact with them on their socials. And thank you so much, Mr. Tom, for joining us today. And I hope you loved speaking to us as well. And you loved listening from my side as well.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure. Thank you for hosting, and thank you for having us with CryptoBirds. Nice to meet everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye, and good luck for your project.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye, and you as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.